Today, we gather to celebrate the incredible life of Irma Dolores Padilla, known to those close to her as Dee Dee. If she had it her way, she would have had a springboard installed in her casket to make her pop up just to give everyone a scare and a laugh, for that's what she was known best for, a good laugh. I also want to thank those of you who incorporated the color yellow in their attire today, as that was my mother's favorite color. There's much that can be said about Dee Dee. She was a beacon of light for those who had lost their way. Together with our Father, she always kept her arms and home open to those in need, pouring out love and acceptance to all who entered their lives. Dee Dee was generous in her love and care for others, always putting her family first in everything she did. Her pride and joy were her children, Selena, Maria, Alicia, Cruz, and Josephine, and yes, I was her favorite, and her grandchildren, Nathan, Lillian, Lucas, Victoria, Emily, Jenny, and Noah. When she became a mother, she embraced that role and it became her identity, even more so when she became a grandmother. If you thought I was spoiled, Nathan took the cake when he was born. She also had a special place in her heart for her fur babies. Throughout her life, she loved to surround herself with beloved pets and would often come up with somewhat unique names for some of them too, like her dogs Boobala and Chimaka. Her most recent fur babies are her cats Carrots, Bandit, Frito, and Gracie, who are all missing their mama very much. Those who knew her well knew her as someone who loved to make people laugh with her clownish demeanor. Many would say she was the glue that held our family together. She loved having us all together to celebrate everything. We will carry on for her. Pinky promise. Dee Dee was born on January 22nd, 1960, to her parents Lydia, Susie, Lucero, and Rudy Arangua, at City of Hope Hospital in Los Angeles. She was the third of five children they shared together: Manuel, Teresa, Irma, Johnny, and Cynthia. Later, Alex, Anthony, Paul, and Maria joined the family as half-siblings. When Dee Dee was 6 months old, she was placed in the care of her Aunt Maria and Uncle Raul Ramirez. She, along with her sister Teresa, were raised in their loving home. Because Maria and Raul raised her from infancy, she considered them her parents. She loved her mom deeply and was spoiled with all the love and care she could give. She lived with them in Venice Beach and was very demure and mindful. At 16, after a disagreement with her father, she left home and went to Pacoima to live with her aunt. She enrolled in a work program that helped young adults find employment. That was where she met the love of her life. My dad took one look at her and was instantly Twitter-pated. He offered her a ride home, and she accepted since she didn't want to take the bus. That was the beginning of their love story. A few years later, they discovered that they were expecting their first daughter, Selena, and they were overjoyed because Dee Dee had thought she couldn't get pregnant. On January 31st, 1981, Dee Dee and Cruz were married. They lived in and around the San Fernando Valley until 1992, when they began to foster their nieces and nephews. They bought a house in Simi Valley to raise their growing family. In 1988, Dee Dee had accepted Jesus as her Lord and Savior at Trinity Church. This was her home church, and she loved serving alongside her husband. She helped him with the Royal Rangers and with the Married Couples Ministry. She helped create married couple retreats and loved being a mentor and role model to young and struggling married couples. She was known as a prayer warrior and spiritual mother to so many. After having her children, Dee Dee went back to work. She started at the school where her children attended, first as a lunch lady and then as a campus supervisor at various middle and high schools. Later, she worked in the payroll department at Bugle Boy until the company closed. She then transitioned to mortgage banking, working for Countrywide, Washington Mutual, and later Chase Bank, where she ended her career as a senior underwriter. She was incredibly proud of earning this title, having achieved it all without a high school diploma. She worked hard and against all odds accomplished great things. But as much as Dee Dee lived for her family, her passion did not end with motherhood. She also had a passion for crafting, writing, and consuming media. She loved making holiday goods she had often sold at events ranging from Christmas earrings to hand-painted wooden decor. Her favorite craft was crocheting, though. Many of her loved ones were lucky enough to be a recipient of one of her crocheted items, and if you were one of them, cherish those items. When it came to writing, Dee Dee's mind was filled with imaginative stories. She was able to spin a tale from almost nothing, and her gift of a creative mind passed on to some of her children and grandchildren as well. One of Dee Dee's dreams had been for one of her works to be published or made into some form of media before she passed, something she unfortunately was not able to achieve during her life. However, Celine and I are planning something to try to honor that wish still. Dee Dee also loved her movies and shows. She was a huge Disney fan, her favorite film being Sleeping Beauty, and loved to collect Disney memorabilia. Her most recent obsession had been collecting baby versions of Disney character stuffies, which she called her babies. Some other media she loved most were the Tolkien films, Game of Thrones, Blacklist, The Vampire Diaries, and the originals spin-off, Supernatural, Shark Week, something we loved watching together every year. All the classic stop-motion Christmas films from the 70s and 80s, and the list goes on. Dee Dee loved her family with all her heart. She would say that her children were her best friends. She always reminded us that she was creating memories for us to hold on to when she was gone. We just didn't know it was going to be so soon. She stressed that we must be there for one another because family is forever. She filled us with so much love and compassion that it overflowed onto everyone around us. People who get to know us will also know her because of the qualities she's passed on to us: to love unconditional, to give generously, to laugh out loud, to have compassion for those in need, to be adventurous and see the world, to invest time in relationships with friends and family, to go the extra mile for a friend, to be silly, and to enjoy life to the fullest. Tomorrow is not promised, so live each day as if it were your last. My mother's health declined rapidly in her last few years due to complications from diabetes, but she fought with everything she had, enduring much to stay alive and continue being there for those she loved. Yet, when the Lord calls you home, it's no longer about our plans or the time we want. She did her best to prepare us for this day. We never wanted to accept it, but now that we're here, we realize that she gave us so much of herself. She didn't hold anything back. Many who have come into our lives have noticed how close we are as a family, how much love we have for one another. We love deeply and forgive easily. They say they've never experienced this type of love and want to be part of it. That was, in no small part, due to our mother's influence on each of us. My mother was an amazing woman of God. She loved God with all her heart, held on to his love, and followed his will for her life. God used her in many ways to love those who were broken and in need of a friend or mother figure. She accepted everyone and loved everyone with all her heart. Dee Dee's legacy lives on in the hearts of her family and friends. She will be greatly missed, always loved, and never forgotten.